Record.
Evening, campers. I thought we'd have a chat with the imaginary friends, and it's not been done for a while. The last time we did this, I think it was 2 years ago. So we were in lockdown when we did it, and all of the rest of it. But I do have something that I want to share. I've got a project which someone's going to help me with. A guy called Jay, and he does art stuff, and I met him through Stepping Stones, and I'll talk about that in another video that I'm going to do straight after this one. So I thought we would do the imaginary news first of all. The imaginary news. Yeah. Have you heard that Mark Zuckerberg wants to fight the next space war? Charles, I'll start with you since you've read the papers on this one. Mark Zuckerberg, well, from what my brother was saying, you know, the metaverse and all that stuff, it'll be used to hopefully train for Skype. I mean, there has been rumours, some dangerous conspiracies like, oh, Mark Zuckerberg's an alien. And he did support Skahu. He's in a fictional alien and everything. But they've not seen, like, with Scarface, they saw all the plans. They knew what Fakar Jealous and Nish Nash and all of they knew exactly what they were going to do. But Scarface made Skahu angry. He went to a space station near Pluto and got his laser sword and cut Skahu's head off. Well, that's not what happened. He only cut him from the moon, from near the Pluto. And Skahu's been going into hiding. Now, Scarface found him and said, you go into hiding because everybody is after you. And could you imagine everybody in the universe after you? Not just everybody on your own planet. Everybody in the universe is after you. And anyway, of course, there was a lot of stuff that happened. Because Scarface knew that we were going to go after Skahu, Scarface says, if you go after Skahu now, then I'll blow you all up within instance. But they were doing that anyway. That's what Scarface wanted. Because they had the death tag. Oh yeah, the death tag. They flew all those rockets in to Mars. And as they had all the rockets in, the Martians, they fired missiles, but the wrong way. So what did the Americans do? They sent missiles out, but they didn't know they were fighting a war. So we were fighting a war against ourselves. But that's what Scarface wanted. It was a test. And they all flew in and boom, 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 straight off. But they had lasers, didn't they? Yeah, but Scarface didn't steal any weapons from here. That was all a big thing. That was to... Yeah. But when they went and shot him, didn't they? They went and shot him, but he wasn't dead. So what they did was, he turned to stone, but he didn't. So what they did was, they took him. The Americans. This is how bad I think we are. The Americans took him out on a spaceship, a big container ship, right? They had a rocket launcher on a space station, right? So they put him on the rocket launcher and they just set him off towards the sun from the rocket launcher. But he never hit the sun. I don't know where he went. But if you can imagine, you're on a rocket launcher and you get blasted off into nowhere, I mean, you're going to die before you even get to the sun. But they refroze him, you know, the Americans, on the launcher. They set him off like a spaceship. So that's all, you know, he's freezing. So he's going to die before he even blasts off. It's like, make sure you're dead. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it, is going to kill you even more. But then, the guy who did that committed suicide, you know. Obviously, because, you know, he couldn't deal with the fact that he blasted off a Martian. No, you wouldn't be able to live with that sort of knowing that you just blasted blasted straight. I mean, obviously they killed a lot of our men. But they're talking about going to Sky's planet, which is quite far away, I believe. I know he was living on Mars for a while, but that was to try and rekindle everything, bring all to peace. And obviously, with the war being as it is.
Mic trigger, mic lock button is on. Double tap.
I mean, the American government at the moment, they're really bad because they're saying we need to advance all this and advance all these weapons. I mean, there was somebody from the Ministry of All Things saying that they put all the weapons in. Why is this radiator not working? Give it a boot of the... Let's go tell mine.
One notification. Bigger live. Now. Mind mob. I am here waving hand. Where are you? Attachment.
If you follow me in here. So I've put the radiator on, right? I've switched it up. I've switched it on, right? There we are. Should be coming through now.
Yeah?
I said it
Come
should.
through now.
Yeah. It's making the hissing sound. Pardon the expression.
Come through in a bit.
Yeah. I've got the thing as high as you can get it anyway.
Are you stopping in there?
Yes, please.
Right.
So what was I saying about the Martians? But the American government, like you say, they're at their own fault. They've come in and they've said, oh, we're doing this. Yeah. And so on and so forth. Which is, I mean, obviously, you can understand it to a full-blown degree. You know, the Americans coming in and coming in and so on and so forth. But obviously, and the thing is, they went and they paid and everything, and even though the weapons got broken and everything towards the end, we still paid for that, all that ammunition. We still paid for it, nonetheless. I know Grant Walker's, was it? Was actually going out and sending massive spaceships. And they never supported the Martians, but that's kind of what they were saying at the time. Now, since it's getting near to Halloween, have you heard about was it the Black Yeti scandal? Oh, the grey lady. Apparently someone's saying, oh, they've seen a grey lady. No, this guy had disappeared. Several people had disappeared. And they weren't sure why. And then they said they saw these footprints or something. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was like a camping thing that went wrong. And they weren't sure. They said, oh, well, they saw the body. And so on. I don't know. The grey lady. The grey lady scandal. But there was actually, speaking of saying that, there was a woman alleged in one of these old houses, alleged to have practiced witchcraft. She wasn't a witch, but they thought she was. And yeah. But and it was all because her daughter was a prostitute. And in those days, prostitution was really bad. If it's not bad today, yeah. If you thought it's bad today, you know, could you imagine, you know, what it would have been like then? I don't know. But anyway, and I am doing a mental health iceberg video at some stage, and I am going to talk about people who they thought that masturbation was an illness, and they basically, there are places where they did some weird stuff to them. Yeah. But I also found that bromide, which was used in the army to sort of, apparently they would give men, because they didn't want people having erections while fighting war. You know, if you saw a nice woman on the other side of the battlefield, that were it, you know. But you know, I have read quite recently that boxers in training will hold themselves off, so to speak. They won't masturbate for a period of time. It's not like they don't, but they won't for a while, because semen retention basically helps them. It's when you're working out and stuff, and when you're training, it helps to hold back, I believe. But I don't know, it's a grey area. But I just thought I would talk about it, because like, ooh, you know, mental health hospitals. But yeah. But why are we talking about this like news section? Because I thought maybe like people out there might want to know something quite real. I know this is the imaginary news, but we thought we might as well talk about something that's quite real. Yeah. You know, I mean, could you imagine? You know? But hey, they should give half these molesters bromide. Yeah. A whole bucket full. I mean, when my mother researched it, she didn't believe it, but then we double researched it, and you know, they didn't care if they killed off half your cells. It's poison, and they used a lot of poison in them days. They used to use in the old folks' homes. You hear a lot of the horror stories. One of the main horror stories you hear is they drug people up with Largactil, which was used in the mental institutions first. That's where they used that first.
2 notifications. WhatsApp. Now. Sophie at Henschel's memories. Microphone. Voice message.
If you don't know what Largactil does...
Press home to unlock. Button.
It's supposed to put you to sleep for...
Mic trigger. Mic lock. Button. Is on. Double tap.
a long term or while. And what happened was when people put you on Largactil, it's supposed to put you to sleep, but it doesn't work. You can only sleep for a certain amount of time, then you wake up. So, and if you ever went into nursing homes, like in the 90s, you'd always see people asleep, and that's because they were drugged up to the eyeballs with Largate. Or sometimes, it depends, but yeah. And now they're not allowed to do that, but they still try their best in making people sleep for long periods of time. But I want you to remember that, because it's going to come up in my mental health iceberg video as well. I think we should skip the news, because it's just right. Well, I thought we would talk about first of all, we are going to bring Rosemary into these videos at some point, but I thought we'd talk about your amazing project which you're doing, which is your computer, your massive, absolute, yeah, well, the motherboard still hasn't, well, I've finished it nearly, it's just a mass of wires, but because it's got an SSD in it and not a physical hard disk, that gives me room to put three GDUs, 4 processors, a massive graphics card, a sound card which I bought, it's another sound plastic card, and something else which I'm hopefully getting. I was gonna add the Roland canvas, but I've said to Noel that he can keep it because I'm not gonna use it for anything. And it's an external card, that sound card. I found that I can buy another one, but this is a machine that's going to cost more than your house to just, it's costing me a lot. I mean, I had to go to Manchester to buy this processor that was like, it was huge. The processor was huge. And it was like, I wanted like the Retina graphics display, which I've got that. I got the Magic graphics card. I got the video conversion card. I basically got 2 cards. I've got 4 processors. I got a Pentium one. I got 2 Pentium and one Intel, and I forgot what the other processor is. I'm not going to use an acceleration graphics card. I'm going to keep that for another project, because if I just use too much power on this machine, it'll just be like, oh, what the hell am I doing with my life? You know. But it's a massive, we are near to a gaming rig with this machine. which I will build another gaming rig. I've said that I'll build another gaming rig. I just need to save money for the gaming rig, because my next gaming rig's gonna have 2 SSDs in it, 5 processors. I'm sticking to the 2 GDUs with that because you don't need like and I'm just gonna stick with what I get, I remember the other gaming machine, the gaming rig, that was a massive, that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. That had 5 GDUs. I was surprised, like, that had, no, didn't have, it was gonna have 8 GDUs in it, but there's no way. So that had about 5 GDUs in it. It had the fastest RAM. I mean, this has got the fastest RAM in it as well, but nowhere near. It had 8 processors in it. 8 processors. It had 3 motherboards in it. It had a lot going for it. And you had 4 monitors for it. No, 3. Yeah, 3 monitors I was using 4 at one stage, because like I had one off from the side, so I was working on something. Because if I had an issue with an emulator, which would be most time, I'd be like trying to figure out how to load it on. So I was dragging it from one screen to another. I go, oh no. So I thought, right, the 4th screen was so I could just drag it aside, so I could just work it out. So I could literally just work on the code for it. And then I'd be dragging it to that monitor, from that monitor to that monitor, so I could just load it straight in. Like the Xbox emulator, I had to make that work, and I had to just, I mean, because we had lads over to come and play, you know, and it was like, I didn't have an Xbox or a PlayStation. So the consoles that I had weren't really for like, so what I had to do was everything in the emulator, and I had someone who liked FIFA, and I was working under the emulator for like 4 days straight. I was like, I will have FIFA for when you come. And it was terrible as well, because I had to download the game into the emulator, tell the emulator that I was using Xbox Live, which is an extra thing, because you have to get the emulator for that as well, and you have to tell the emulator what you're using, how you're using it. Oh man. But I've managed to do all that, but it's like I said to Noel, I said, if you're using the Xbox emulator, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use it. I was like, oh gosh, help me please. I said, if you get the red ring of death, whatever, just delete the emulator, because all that re-registering it, because I had to do it, I had to borrow a friend's Xbox, which was cracked, to do all that. So there was a lot of work with it, but never again. So you're using basically the Xbox emulator to get it functioning, working. Like it does, like some stuff works, and some stuff doesn't. But I couldn't. I just knew this guy was like, you know, he wasn't a dickhead, but he wasn't. He was a bit of an idiot basically, and just kept saying, "Oh, you know." So I just couldn't risk it. So I had to get another friend who I knew, so I could get his Xbox, rig up to the machine, and just. Like, Noel's got an Xbox and his is hacked, but I've said, yeah, but your machine, Microsoft would absolutely kick your ass. Because my friend said he had to literally fully jailbreak it again. It's, you know. And I even had the dev kit as well for that Xbox. So I've copied all of that whole emulator, because just to rebuild that, because I really wanted the dev kit just to mess around with. It's really cool. But yeah. The assembly line code for that is just really, really cool. You can like mess around with it. And just like when you're writing 3 lines of code, like things happen. So yeah. Anyway, we move to Charles now. You are doing something very interesting. You are working on a van. Or 2 vans. And I've just bought another van. But I've got no wife to kill me, so it's fine. I can buy whatever I want with whatever I want. She'll probably still kill me actually, because she's still. She still works for me. So yeah. But I'm basically, I'm doing two van builds. And then I'll be working on another van, which is a lot smaller. A lot smaller indeed. I mean, it's still the same, well, it's smaller than the minivan. But we can do small. You know, there's people that live out of much smaller vehicles, and there's somebody who I've been speaking to who lives out of a Mini Cooper S. Oh my gosh. And yeah, well, that's very extreme.
Bigger lip.
But,
Now, cozy box face is lip. Zoomed out. Attachment.
Yeah. I guess it's easy to live out of a car because you can get into spaces a lot quicker, and well, this van, let's put it this way, I'll be able to do things with it that I can't with the big van. And there's things that in the big van that I won't be able to do in the small van. But I'm a mechanic, so there's things I can do, and a builder. This all helps. Like the van build, I'm literally doing on most of myself, you know. But you, for anybody who's doing van life, what is it? You make your bed, and you have to sleep in it. You have to lie in the bed that you make. Let's put it that way. Quite literally, because I've painted stuff. Well, I've started painting cabinets, and I got sheets down and everything. I am going to have to sleep in the mess that I've made. There's no way I'm tidying up that crap. I've got a cupboard literally on its side. And as much as I have thought camping in the pickup, that is not happening because the pickup's full. With my rubbish, obviously. That's gotta go somewhere. And well, I'm working on a friend's house. I've had to move some of the stuff out of the van into the pickup. That's the way it's going. And this van, by the way, is pretty big. You know, it's a Vauxhall van. It's a really nice van. The only issues with it is one, the wheel sticks out a little bit. It's quite long, and it's a bit wide. But then again, those are advantages. The minivan, I'm having to rebuild the whole entire van. I've taken the seats out because seats in the back of a van make problems, and I've been able to fold them down and put a bed on top and all the rest of it. It's just not worked. So,
And you've got no space for a kitchen unit or...
well, I can't put a kitchen in. I can't put a kitchen in or a toilet in, and I've had to do... well, I haven't gone as far as a bucket because I've gone into the van. But nobody lives out of two vans. It's just crazy. So it's been a sort of a half van, half car, half camping kind of thing. Now, I have spoke to people who've gone the half van, half car route, but nah. So I'm going down the half. Go on, Andy. You're going to say something.
What about your RV that you're building, aren't you?
Oh boy, don't get me started on that. Yeah. The Volvo truck.
No, the other RV that you're building.
Oh yeah, well, that's a two-man job at the moment. The Volvo that we're building.
2 notifications. Bigger limb. Now. Hey. Mind mom. Join your friends now. Attachment.
The trailer's got a nice tailgate on it, which we're using to our whole advantage. I'll say that much. I mean, it's got, you know, it's literally going to be the Ritz. And I will be able to live in that. But it's such a big vehicle. I mean, I was thinking of getting I said to Rosemary, I just love a big motorhome, you know, you could just get away in it. And I just thought, oh well, maybe someone could build us one. Well, we've got, me and Russ, we've got a plan that we're going to do van builds. We love it. Russ is gonna go and try out the Vanlife in a couple of vehicles. We're doing one in a 4x4. Why is Russ doing the Vanlife though? Isn't he happy with living in a house? Yes, but he is planning, while he's doing up his other house, he's planning on living on the road for a while. And I said, you know, I'll help you out, because obviously you're going to know how to, you know, it's a constant move all the time. Obviously, if you've got a field, then that becomes your base. You know, if you've got somewhere where there's toilets and showers and stuff like that, that's all pretty great, and it's great for people who, you know because then, but then you've got to know, well, like here, I live near Russ's workshop. That's got its advantages, but it's also got its disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages, running water. You know, if we were on an actual campsite, we'd connect up to water and stuff. Whereas we're having to totally, I mean, ditching water is, I know where there's a ditch where I can stick the water, the bad water, and that's all good. But you got to be careful where you stick where you're sticking sewage and all that, because so there's a certain part of the ditch where I'll go and I'll stick all the crap into there, because it gets drained out literally every month by the farm who runs that field. And of course I know where the ditch is, I'll ditch the water, boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. I have ditched my water in Rotten Row, but I understand that Rotten Row aren't very happy with that. You've gone and done that, have you? Yeah, take my water, dumped it. But it's like, yeah, ditching water is a big thing when you're in a vehicle. You are constantly, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of setup you have, you need to know where to ditch your water. It's, you know, but like, Charles, you can tell people what sucks for van life. Well, technically, you will, if you're living in a van, you will piss people off very quickly. Because it's not like a home where you can go in and you can close the door and you can. In a van, when you close the door, you've still got people there, so to speak. You have to be prepared for a little bit of outside living. I mean, you're not in a tent, but you might as well be. Because you have to, there's all the camping stuff. If you've been in a Tourer camper van or a camper van of any description, then you will know that your living space is very confined. If you've got little setups, like me, then you'll be good. If you know how to plan your setups, even better. But you have to come out your comfort zone a lot with a van. I was just going to ask, can you go on a campsite with a van? Or you can, but because you're in a van, you will piss people off. Okay? You will. It's just a thing. I mean, I've constantly moved different places. I've stopped outside my garage on Forecourt. And which has been a worry for us. But I was stopping round the back of his, but then that pissed him off because he couldn't get his vehicles out. Bear in mind, I didn't just have one vehicle on that field, I had like 3 vehicles. The only thing that's there is the RV that's parked in that vehicle, that field, which is fine. You have a vehicle on that field and it's not doing anything, that's all fine. The minivan just isn't a problem anyway at the moment. It's in the workshop in Kew, and that isn't nobody's problem because it's covered up. Well, actually, it doesn't need to be covered up. It's just all well, it's nearly to the shell. You've stripped it. I've stripped all the body. It's rust and tatter, and there's cables hanging out of it, and it's just, yeah, that's what the minivan looks like. But because it's an older vehicle, it's like from 94, I can do so much to it so easily. You know, it's just spanners and screwdrivers and hammers and lots of fun. Seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. Can you road test that? Can you? Or no? Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I can drive it round Forecourt. Or test it on a track. I can do all that fun, yes, but someone else needs to road test it properly. Meaning they need to take out a road but we know people who can do that, so it's all good. But oh, the fun I have with that vehicle is just, I couldn't do any, like, when I see customers' cars and I open the bonnet and I think, oof, oh, you know, and then when I open the bonnet to my own vehicle, it's just, heaven. I mean, I started off cleaning the spark plugs and then something just didn't look good. A spark came from a cable that I thought, oops, I best go have a look at that. It's, once you know what goes where and at first I thought it was the handbrake. I thought, oh no. Yeah. And luckily it wasn't handbrake. The handbrakes can be they can be bastards. The amount of cables that get frayed all the time. I mean, it's not really an issue we have in the garage so much. But yeah. Which is why I've said to so many people, when you're renewing brakes, the handbrake is something you should consider having a look at. I mean, the amount of people I've told off for putting handbrake on so tight. Oh my gosh, you seriously, you would damage the handbrake by doing that. My Uncle Paul does it all the time, and my dad. They put the handbrake on. Do they do the old taxi pull-up, as we call it? Yeah, because it's fine if you're doing a hill stop in the middle of a hill. You do what's called doing a hill stop. If you're in the middle of a hill, you put the handbrake on. But even then, you don't need to put the handbrake on so tight, because your handbrake, it will grip if your gear's in properly. All that, it's seriously, people don't even know how to drive properly. But as long as your gear's in neutral, it should be alright. I can understand people are obviously worried about vehicles rolling off. You hear horror stories of people rolling on and the vehicles just rolling away. Those type of people do need to put the handbrake on, but not so tightly. And if your vehicle's in gear, it'll do it once anyway. Not meaning to scare people, but your handbrake won't help you. There's that thing they used to show, was it Car Crash TV, where they showed people, the mistake they make is pulling the handbrake and the car skids and slides. Yeah. Well, yeah, because when a car, what is it? when you know when to crash, you know your vehicle's coming to a crash. They used to say, right, your emergency stop was to apply the handbrake first before the foot brake. That's what they used to teach people. But it's like, no, you got a stop pedal and a go pedal. Stop, but it's not going to help you anyway. Someone comes climbing straight into you. But I think the worst thing to do when someone's going to come into you is to panic. I think it's well. But on the phone to the AA, they used to tell you, they used to say, get out of your car and get on the side of the road. But I thought, with it being a busy road, what do we do? I mean, I was thinking, should you get out of the vehicle, get onto it? Well, it depends where you are. I mean, there's no verge on some roads, because they're all like 8 lanes, 6 lanes of traffic. You don't really want to get out of the car when you've got 6 lanes of traffic. But oh my gosh, I mean, the thing that I remember about that day when we broke down outside Helston Hall was they were telling us how to put the hazard lights on. I mean, it was frightening because you had all these vehicles coming past and I thought, what do we do? Phoning the AA is a good one, but do we, I kept my seatbelt on. And it's literally a lot of what they tell you at the AA on the phone is, most of it's common sense. If you can't get your vehicle, keep your seatbelts on until we arrive. So I didn't take my seatbelt off, I left it on. Even when the couple came and pushed us off onto the side of the road. But anyway, we've spoken enough about van builds and computers. Our company is doing a Halloween trailer. Tomorrow morning or afternoon or Saturday, at some point, we've got to get this trapdoor scene done. Trapdoor opening. So we might do that. Because we're doing that in the cellar. The trapdoor opening scene. Yeah. Because next week we've got to have this advert back. We're 3 weeks behind. So we've got to work on it ASAP. In 2 weeks we're doing some advert, aren't we? Bloody hell, it's like... And all the Christmas stuff. Bloody hell. Which in actual fact, once we've worked on all the Christmas stuff, and we've got it done that way. Yeah, things carry on, don't they? They do indeed. What I say? Have you still got a motorbike, Chelsea? Yeah. Yeah. Still going strong. It's in the workshop at the moment. It's quite safe there because it's not really motorbike riding season. I know there's certain times when you should bring your car out and your motorbike and certain cars. Well, the Mercedes, that's going to have to come out during the winter months because it's insured for them. But if it gets icy, I won't be chancing it. I might be buying a 4x4 next year. I mean, this vehicle I've got, it's a 4x4 as well, but I want to get a bigger vehicle. I mean, the minivan won't do. Oh gosh, that would just slip and slide everywhere. That'd be scary to drive, but it can withstand the cold. It just can't withstand leaks. It doesn't like being left in puddles. It wasn't a great. It was a bit of a stupid thing for me to do, but I did it. And by doing it, I damaged the exhaust. Not on purpose, just a bit of a foolish thing to do. I mean, it was alright for a couple of weeks, but I just knew I couldn't leave it any longer than that. And then the spark plugs needed cleaning.
Will it still have the same steering wheel?
Oh yes. It'll still have the same dashboard on. The fuel gauge, and it's got a really tiny speedometer on it. But oh yes. Changing all that. Bloody hell. It's got a really nice glove compartment on the front. Now all I'm doing is round the back putting a front bunk and a back bunk. And a bit where a kitchenette can go. And some other little bits. I've got another cassette toilet. installing them things are nightmares. But that's an emergency toilet that I'm going to stick in that, because I'm not going to plan to live in it all the time. I'll tell you what though, it gets absolutely hot in there. And that's the problem with van life. You have to know where to go. And by the way, I've got no aircon unit or proper bloody diesel heaters or anything for it, so it's yeah, lots of work needs to be done on the vehicle before it goes back out, and which it will do.
Notifications. Bigger Lim. Now is Lim. All better smiling face with hearts. Attachment.
That for next year will be all. Yeah. But it's one of the nicest vehicles. Always wanted to own a minivan. Well, I had a minivan, but it wasn't. Well, I didn't have one. I drove one, but it wasn't. And then I saw this little thing. In fact, someone said, "Oh, can you fix up this minivan?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, you might as well have it." I was like, "Oh, yes." Finally got to own it. So, but I had it for so long, and so much work needed doing to it. So I refitted it and everything, and put new doors on. But again, I need to put new doors on it again and make sure that they're not rusty. Yeah.
4 notifications. Bigger Lim. Now. Telephone receiver. Telephone receiver. Mind mod. Accept my video call. Attachment.
I found out that
Artist name.
what is it? Leyland do cracking little bodies for vans. I just thought, not what I'm after. But I've also put new bulbs in, the lights and everything. It's just a big job, but it's a job I'm getting done, and it'll take me not long. The minivan will be back on the road by next year. I was surprised because I remember when you were working on it, and it was like, well, yeah, I'd finished work on it by this year. I've been working on it for about 3 years, 2 years total. But then I worked on it, I rushed a lot of the job because I wanted to get it on the road. And that I just, when I needed something to live in, that was it. You know. Because I've only been doing van life for 4 months. Hold on. The end of June, July, August, September. 4 months, well, 5 months. I started Vanlife when it was just getting absolutely ludicrously hot. And we had all kinds of stuff. We had wet weather. And now we're getting cold weather and the darker nights are coming in. So the question is, do I want to carry on this lifestyle? And the answer is yeah, I do. Actually, it's very interesting. It's not, you do things that you wouldn't do in house per se. But then there's things that I do miss, you know. I slept on a couch one night because the field I was going to go in was just like, no. It was dark and I wasn't risking it. But the minivans sure seem. I know because you've slept in that, haven't you? I've slept in 2 vans. Now, I like sleeping in the minivan because it's really comfortable and cosy. But I sleep in the front in the minivan because the space in the back just isn't, you know. But that'll all change when I get this new build. I won't have to plug my stove into the into the cigarette lighter. There's loads of things I won't have to do. But yeah, it's just like one of those things you, like I said before, you make your bed. You lie in the bed that you literally make. I mean, I love it. And especially, you know, like, something interesting always happens. It's not like when you're in a house and you wake up in a bed and you go downstairs and you make a cup of tea and you go back to bed. When you're on the road, so much happens. You know. Didn't you sleep under a tractor one night? Because it was, it was hot in the van. So I was working on this tractor and I knew it was in a field, and I just thought, sleep in it, under it. And the guy got in and he started the engine and I was like, he basically pooed himself when he saw me just jump straight from underneath the tractor. Yeah. That was a bit of a death wish. I didn't do that a second time.
One notification. Sleep vertical line health. Now, bedtime reminder. Your bedtime is set for 10:55 p.m. Wind down is starting soon. Bedtime.
Well, we'll finish this since we don't have much to talk about. And
Page 1.
look for my next video.
Mic trigger. Mic lock. Finish recording.